In Johannesburg, South Africa, 26-year-old Amara Ndlovu stood quietly in front of a mirror, adjusting the soft white dress she had bought with her own savings. It wasn't the most expensive wedding dress and it didn't come from a luxury boutique, but to Amara it was perfect. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, her wedding day. But instead of excitement filling the room, her phone kept buzzing on the table beside her. Message after message appeared on the screen. At first she tried to ignore it, but curiosity made her glance at it. The messages were from relatives and none of them were kind. "Are you seriously going through with this?" one cousin wrote. Another message followed. "You're really marrying a security guard?" Someone even sent laughing emojis. Amara slowly placed the phone face down on the table and took a deep breath. She had expected this reaction, but it still hurt more than she wanted to admit. Her family had always imagined a very different future for her. After graduating from university, they believed she would marry someone rich, powerful, maybe a businessman or a politician. Her older sister, Thandi Ndlovu, loved reminding everyone that she only dated wealthy men. At every family gathering she bragged about luxury dinners, expensive gifts and fancy vacations. Their parents proudly supported her choices. So when Amara told them she was marrying Kofi Mensah, the quiet man who worked night shifts as a security guard at a shopping mall, the entire room went silent. Then the laughter started. Her uncle had even said loudly during one dinner, "You studied for years at university just to marry a gatekeeper?" The words had stung, but Amara never changed her mind. Because what her family couldn't see, she saw clearly. Kofi wasn't rich. He didn't drive an expensive car or wear designer suits. But he had something far more valuable: kindness, patience and quiet strength. When Amara struggled to find stable work after graduating, many people slowly disappeared from her life. Friends stopped calling and even some relatives treated her differently. But Kofi stayed. He encouraged her when she felt hopeless, listened when she was frustrated, and reminded her that her dreams still mattered. Money never impressed Amara the way character did. And today, no matter what anyone said, she was about to marry the man who had stood beside her when the world turned away. Amara first met Kofi on an ordinary afternoon outside the office building where she worked part-time in Johannesburg. It wasn't a dramatic moment or some romantic movie scene. At that time, Kofi was simply the quiet security guard standing near the entrance, watching people come and go during his long shift. Every morning when Amara arrived for work, he greeted her with a small respectful smile and a simple, "Good morning." At first she just nodded politely and walked inside like everyone else. But over time she began to notice something different about him. Kofi greeted everyone the same way. It didn't matter if the person was the building manager in an expensive suit or the cleaner carrying heavy supplies. He treated everyone with the same level of respect. He helped elderly visitors open the door, gave directions to lost clients, and never raised his voice even when people were rude to him. One rainy evening, Amara was leaving work late when she realized she had forgotten her umbrella. The rain was pouring heavily and the taxi stand was several blocks away. Kofi noticed her standing under the building's entrance looking worried. Without hesitation he stepped forward and offered his own umbrella. "I'll be fine," he said with a calm smile. "My shift is almost over anyway." That small act of kindness surprised her. From that day on, their short greetings slowly turned into small conversations. Sometimes they talked about their day, sometimes about music, movies, or the dreams they had for the future. What Amara appreciated most was the way Kofi listened. When she spoke, he paid full attention, never interrupting or judging her. That was very different from her previous relationship. Her ex-boyfriend had been wealthy and successful, but he often made her feel small. At a party once, he even joked about her career struggles in front of his friends, making everyone laugh while she stood there embarrassed. That moment had stayed in her mind for a long time. Kofi was the opposite. Whenever Amara talked about her goals, he encouraged her. When she doubted herself, he reminded her how capable she was. He believed in her even when she sometimes didn't believe in herself. Slowly, their friendship turned into something deeper. They started meeting after her shifts, taking simple walks, sharing street food and talking for hours about life. Before she realized it, Amara had fallen in love. But when she finally introduced Kofi to her family, the reaction was exactly what she feared. They didn't see his kindness. They didn't notice his character. All they saw was his job. When Amara finally told her family that she and Kofi were engaged, she hoped that maybe, just maybe, they would try to understand her happiness. She imagined a small celebration, a few warm hugs, maybe even some advice from her parents about marriage. But the moment the news came out, the entire atmosphere in the room changed. Instead of smiles, there were confused looks. Instead of congratulations, there was silence. Her mother, Namsa Ndlovu, was the first to speak, and her voice carried clear disappointment. "Amara, please tell me you're joking," she said, folding her arms. "You cannot be serious about marrying a security guard." Amara tried to explain that Kofi was hardworking, kind, and supportive, but her mother barely listened. "This will embarrass our entire family," Namsa continued. "People will laugh at us. What will our relatives say?" Her father didn't shout, but his silence was even more painful. He simply shook his head slowly, as if Amara had made a terrible mistake. But the harshest reaction came from her older sister, Thandi. Thandi burst out laughing the moment she heard the news. "Oh wow," she said sarcastically. "So the big university graduate is marrying the guy who opens the gate at a mall?" She didn't stop there. At every family gathering after that, she continued mocking the idea of the wedding. "I can already imagine it," Thandi joked one evening while scrolling through her phone. "Plastic chairs, cheap decorations, and maybe the guests will bring their own food. Sounds like a low-budget charity event." Some relatives even joined in the laughter. A few cousins sent messages saying they were too busy to attend the ceremony. Others simply stopped replying to Amara altogether. The pressure kept growing. Her parents asked her again and again to rethink the marriage. They suggested she wait longer, meet someone more suitable, or focus on her career first. But Amara already knew her answer. Every time doubt tried to creep into her mind, she remembered the way Kofi had supported her during her lowest moments. She remembered how he believed in her when no one else did. Money could disappear overnight, status could change in a second, but loyalty, kindness, and respect were rare. And Amara refused to give up a man who gave her those things just because others couldn't see his worth. So despite the criticism, the gossip, and the endless pressure from her own family, she calmly continued planning the wedding. Because in her heart she knew something very simple. Love mattered more than status. After the harsh reactions from her family, Amara quickly realized that if this wedding was going to happen, she would have to plan almost everything on her own. Her parents made it clear they were not going to support the marriage financially. Even her sister Thandi joked that she wouldn't spend a single cent on what she called a mistake. For a few days the situation felt overwhelming. Weddings were expensive and Amara didn't have a lot of savings. But instead of giving up, she decided to focus on what really mattered. The wedding didn't have to be huge or luxurious. It just had to be meaningful. After searching online and asking around, Amara found a beautiful outdoor garden on the quiet edge of Pretoria. It wasn't a fancy five-star venue, but it was peaceful and full of natural beauty. Tall green trees surrounded the space, colorful flowers grew along the pathways, and there was a small open area perfect for a simple ceremony. The moment she saw it, she smiled. It felt right. When her close friends heard about the situation, they didn't hesitate to help. One of her friends offered to design the invitations. Another volunteered to arrange flowers. A cousin who still supported her promised to handle the music for the ceremony. Slowly the wedding started coming together piece by piece. Kofi also did everything he could to help. Even though his salary as a security guard wasn't high, he began taking extra night shifts at the mall. Sometimes he worked long hours without complaining, saving every bit he could for their special day. Whenever Amara apologized for the small budget, Kofi always gave the same calm answer. "This wedding isn't about money," he would say with a warm smile. "It's about us." They spent evenings together planning the little details. Sometimes they sat at a small cafe with notebooks, writing lists and laughing about things that went wrong. Other times they walked through the garden venue imagining where the chairs would go and where they would stand to say their vows. Instead of stress, those moments filled them with excitement. As the wedding day got closer, the garden slowly transformed. Friends hung soft string lights between the trees. Fresh flowers decorated the small wooden arch where the ceremony would take place. Simple white chairs were arranged neatly on the grass. It wasn't a luxury wedding, but to Amara and Kofi it felt magical. Because every decoration, every flower, and every small detail was placed there with love. The morning of the wedding finally arrived, and the small garden on the edge of Pretoria looked even more beautiful than Amara had imagined. Soft sunlight filtered through the tall trees, birds chirped quietly in the background, and the flowers placed along the path added bright colors everywhere. The simple white chairs were neatly arranged, and the string lights hanging between the trees gently moved with the breeze. It wasn't a huge crowd, but the people who came were the ones who truly cared. Close friends, a few supportive relatives and some of Kofi's co-workers filled the seats. Everyone seemed relaxed, chatting and smiling as they waited for the ceremony to begin. Amara stood behind the small wooden arch with her best friend, taking a deep breath. Her heart was beating fast, but not from fear. It was excitement. Across the garden, Kofi waited calmly in his dark suit. He looked a little nervous, but when their eyes met from across the space, he gave her a small reassuring smile that instantly made her feel better. Not far from the garden, another event was taking place at the same venue. A well-known wedding photographer and social media creator named Sunil Dubey had been invited there to cover that event. Sunil was famous for capturing emotional wedding moments and sharing them with her large online audience. While walking through the venue area with her camera, she noticed something unusual happening in the nearby garden. At first she thought it was just another small ceremony, but as she walked a little closer she felt something different in the atmosphere. There was no loud music, no expensive decorations, no large production team. But there was something else, real emotion. She saw Amara nervously adjusting her dress while her friends cheered her on. She saw Kofi greeting guests politely and thanking each person for coming. She saw how the couple looked at each other with quiet excitement. Curious, Sunil lifted her camera and quietly began capturing a few moments from a distance. As the ceremony started, the emotions became even stronger. Guests wiped away tears during the speeches, and soft laughter spread through the crowd when friends shared small stories about the couple. Sunil kept recording. She could feel that something about this wedding was special. It wasn't about luxury or money. It was about genuine love, something that people online rarely got to see in such a pure form. Without interrupting the ceremony, she continued capturing those honest moments, not knowing that one of those clips would soon change the couple's lives forever. As the ceremony continued under the soft morning sun, everyone could feel the warmth in the garden. The air was filled with quiet excitement, gentle laughter, and the faint scent of flowers. After the short welcome and a few speeches from friends, it was Kofi's turn to speak. He stepped forward, taking a deep breath. For a moment he looked nervous, glancing around at the small gathering, but when he turned to Amara, his eyes softened. The murmurs of the guests faded as they waited for his words. "I want to say something important," Kofi began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "Sometimes the world will laugh at your choices. They will doubt you. They will tell you that you are dreaming too big, or that you don't deserve happiness. But when you find someone who sees your heart and not your wallet, someone who believes in you even when no one else does, that is real love." He paused, looking at Amara with a quiet intensity that made her heart skip a beat. "Amara, I believe in you. I will always stand by you no matter what anyone else says. Today, tomorrow, and every day after, I promise to honor and respect you and to love you with everything I have." A few tears slipped down Amara's cheeks and many of the guests reached for their tissues. Some wiped away tears, others held hands with their loved ones, visibly moved by the sincerity of his words. Even the flowers seemed brighter in that moment, as if the garden itself was sharing in their love. Unnoticed by the couple, Sunil Dubey had been quietly filming Kofi's speech from the side. She captured the raw emotion, the small hand gestures, the soft catch in his voice, the way Amara's eyes sparkled with tears. It was a short clip, just a few seconds long, but it carried the heart of the entire day. That night, after helping the couple pack up some of the wedding decorations, Sunil uploaded the video to her social media. She didn't expect much. It was a small wedding after all. But within hours the clip began spreading. People from all over Johannesburg and beyond watched it. Thousands of viewers shared the video, commenting on how much it touched them. Many praised Amara for choosing love over wealth and applauded Kofi for his humility and heartfelt honesty. Some said they cried while watching. Others said it reminded them of the kind of love they had always dreamed of. In less than a day, a small, quiet wedding in a simple garden had captured the hearts of thousands of people who had never even met the couple. And that moment, Kofi's words, would change everything for them. By the next morning, Amara's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She picked it up, half expecting messages from friends, but what she saw was far beyond anything she could have imagined. The short video of Kofi's speech that Sunil had uploaded had gone viral. Notifications poured in from every corner. Messages, tags, shares, and comments flooding her social media accounts. Millions of people had watched the clip overnight. People from all over South Africa and even from other countries were reacting. Some left comments praising Amara for choosing love over money and social status. Others complimented Kofi's humility, sincerity, and the quiet way he expressed his love. Many viewers said the video made them cry, smile, or even rethink their own relationships. News outlets and online blogs quickly picked up the story. Headlines appeared almost instantly. The security guard wedding that melted hearts online. Young woman marries security guard inspires thousands. Love over luxury. Couple's simple wedding goes viral. Journalists called Amara and Kofi for interviews, wanting to know more about their story. Local radio stations invited them for live conversations. Even international media outlets shared short clips, amazed that a small, simple wedding could capture so much attention. Amara and Kofi couldn't believe it. People they had never met were sharing messages of encouragement, congratulations, and admiration. Some fans even started using hashtags like #SecurityGuardWedding and #LoveOverWealth, spreading the story further. Memes were made, reactions posted, and groups shared the video across platforms. In just a few hours, a tiny garden wedding on the edge of Pretoria had turned into a global story. Amara's friends were texting in disbelief. "This is insane," one wrote. "You're famous now." Kofi, usually calm and reserved, just shook his head with a smile. "I never imagined this," he said softly. "All I wanted was to marry you." But that's exactly why people loved them. It wasn't about glamour, money, or appearances. It was about real love, quiet, honest, and strong enough to stand up to family pressure, judgment, and doubt. By that evening, millions had seen the video, shared it, and talked about it. Strangers messaged them from different countries, sharing how their story had touched hearts and inspired hope. For Amara and Kofi, the wedding that people had mocked had become something much bigger than they ever imagined. A story of love that could move the world. By the afternoon, Amara's phone started buzzing with notifications from people she barely knew. And then, slowly, messages began coming from her own family. At first she didn't want to look. She had already felt the sting of their judgment, and she wasn't ready to be hurt again. But curiosity got the better of her and she opened the first message. It was from her sister Thandi. The text read, "Wow Amara. The video is amazing. I'm so proud of you." Amara blinked, staring at the screen in disbelief. Thandi, proud of her? After all the mocking, the sarcastic jokes, and the constant belittling? He kept scrolling. Her mother, Namsa, had posted a long comment under the viral video. "So happy for you both. Wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. Kofi is wonderful." Even some cousins who had refused to attend the wedding suddenly sent congratulations. Some tagged themselves in photos from the ceremony, as if they had been there all along. Others wrote posts praising the couple for their bravery and love. Amara couldn't help but laugh, a mix of amusement and disbelief. The same people who had called Kofi a gatekeeper and joked about her wedding being a low-budget charity event were now publicly celebrating her choice. Their words of support felt strangely hollow, like they were trying to catch up to what the world had already decided. When she confronted her mother, Namsa's voice was unusually soft. "Amara, I just didn't understand. But everyone is talking about how beautiful your wedding was. How happy you both look. I want to say I'm proud now." Amara nodded politely, hiding the mix of emotions she felt. Part of her wanted to forgive. Part of her wanted to laugh at the irony. She had stood her ground, ignored the criticism, and now the world was celebrating what she already knew. That Kofi was the right person for her. Thandi, trying to keep up with the sudden attention, posted multiple selfies with captions about supporting the wedding, tagging Amara and Kofi as if she had always been there for them. Amara couldn't help but roll her eyes, though she smiled too. It was strange, seeing the same people who had once doubted and mocked her now trying to ride the wave of love and admiration. But deep down, Amara didn't need their approval anymore. The world had seen the truth. Their love was real, unshakable, and inspiring. And that was enough. Even if her family had changed overnight, it didn't matter. Theirs was a victory that no one could take away, no matter how fast they tried to pretend they had always supported it. After the video went viral and millions of people had seen it, Amara and Kofi suddenly found their lives changing in ways they never expected. Messages kept pouring in, not just from fans and strangers but from companies, brands, and media outlets wanting to talk to them. Some wanted interviews for magazines, TV shows, or online platforms. Others offered partnerships, asking if the couple would collaborate on projects, campaigns, or events. At first, it all felt a little overwhelming. Amara and Kofi were just a normal couple who had wanted a simple wedding. They never imagined that a quiet ceremony in a small garden would catch the attention of thousands, or even millions around the world. But slowly they began to see the possibilities. Brands reached out to feature their story of love, humility, and courage. Some wanted to highlight Kofi's dedication and character, while others focused on Amara's strength and determination to follow her heart despite family pressure. Invitations to speak at events and participate in online campaigns started arriving. Each message reminded them that their story wasn't just about a wedding, it was about inspiration. Amara realized she had a new opportunity to help others. She started thinking about all the people who might be struggling with family pressure, social judgment, or self-doubt. With Kofi's encouragement, she decided to create a motivational channel online. There she shared stories about love, dignity, self-respect, and the courage to follow your heart. The channel quickly gained followers. People commented on her videos, saying they felt stronger and more confident after hearing her advice. They shared their own experiences of being judged for their choices, and Amara responded with messages of encouragement. Each day more people joined in, inspired by her story and the honesty she shared. Even Kofi, who had always been quiet and humble, joined her in small segments, talking about patience, respect, and loyalty in relationships. Their story together became a symbol of hope, showing that love doesn't have to be flashy or expensive to be powerful. What had started as a small, simple wedding now turned into a platform for positive change. Amara and Kofi didn't just gain fame, they gained the chance to inspire thousands of people to believe in love, stand up for themselves, and trust in what truly matters. And every time Amara thought back to the morning of their wedding, she smiled. All the struggles, the mockery, and the doubt had led them to something far greater than either of them could have imagined. Months had passed since the wedding, and life had changed in ways Amara and Kofi never expected. One quiet afternoon, they found themselves walking hand in hand through a peaceful park in Cape Town. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over the trees and the small lake nearby. The air was calm, and for a moment, it felt like the rest of the world had disappeared. As they walked slowly along the path, Amara couldn't help but smile. "Can you believe how crazy everything became after that video?" she asked, glancing at Kofi. He chuckled softly, squeezing her hand. "Millions of people saw us. Your family changed their tune. Brands reached out. It's been overwhelming." "I know," Amara replied, shaking her head. "But you know what? None of that mattered at the start. None of it." They paused to watch a group of children feeding ducks by the lake. The moment was simple, quiet, and perfect. Amara leaned her head slightly against Kofi's shoulder and reflected on everything they had been through. The ridicule, the doubts, the pressure from her family. Every challenge had led to this moment, this peace, this understanding. The wedding that people had once mocked, the one some thought was too small or insignificant, had become a story shared around the world. People celebrated their love, their courage, and their honesty. They had inspired thousands of others to stand up for love and dignity, and their story continued to touch hearts everywhere. But for Amara, the real victory wasn't the fame, the social media attention, or the opportunities that came after. It was much simpler. It was the truth she had known all along, that the person everyone underestimated, the quiet man who worked night shifts and treated people with respect, was the greatest blessing of her life. As they continued walking hand in hand, laughing quietly at some shared memory, Amara realized she had everything she truly wanted: love, respect, and a life built together. Proof that sometimes, what the world overlooks is the most precious thing of all.